This is the Spotlight segment. Stay tuned for premium interviews, device unboxing and more.
Up next is the Smart Vision 3 review from our friend Jerry, whom we'll be hearing from, and his Android journey story. But up now, though, we have that review, and then we'll talk about follow-up and things that were not mentioned in the review. Here's that review from Jerry.
Hello, everyone. Jicha here. I'm the accessibility specialist for RAZ Mobility. I actually prefer to be called Jerry. That's how all of you guys know me. But when I'm doing work stuff or, well, legal stuff, I use my legal name, which is Jared. So that's why I told you my real name. Would like to talk to you guys about the Smart Vision 3 phone that we just started carrying. Before we go into that, I'd like to let you know a little bit about RAZ Mobility, just a little bit, not much, just in case you've never heard of us before. RAZ Mobility has been offering assistive technology products and services since 2017. We have been offering it to consumers, government programs, and the Department of Veterans Affairs. Try saying that a few times real fast. The products include, some products that we've developed on our own, such as the RAZ Memory cell phone. Now, that one is a phone that does not talk, but it's for people who have dementia. Really neat concept. It's a modified Android phone, but it's for people who have dementia. It's got like big pictures and things like that. And you can have, if you have a caregiver or something, they can, put the pictures on the phone, put speed dials on it, they can do it over the internet. And you just look at the picture and touch the picture of who you want to call, and it calls. And, it's kind of a really neat concept in actual honesty. I at least think so. Products that we've developed with our partners and products, such as the iPhone or the Google Pixel 6 smartphones that are set up with accessibility options and additional accessible apps. Right now, the Smart Vision 3 is already available through state equipment distribution programs in some states, such as Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Arkansas. So, as you can tell, there are state agencies who carry our phones. They give them to their customers. And when a state agent does it like that, if we have an agreement set up with them, it's possible that they can apply for training. And the training is done by me. And basically, we just give them the basics, get them up and running. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the specifications of the phone, and then we'll go into looking at what the phone looks like, and we'll demo some stuff as well. One of the things that we'll demo is the fact that either from a first time turn on, in other words, you buy it, you take it out of the box, you turn it on for the first time, and you go into the setup, or if you do a factory reset, you know that you have to with Android phones, you have to press and hold the volume keys, or press and hold your fingers, 2 fingers on the screen. With this particular phone, you don't have to do that. TalkBack comes up automatically once you hear the startup sound. Then about a minute and a half later, it actually comes up talking once it's done finishing setting up, what it does. And you'll hear that here in a little bit on this particular segment. But like I said, let's go ahead and look at the specs, or at least some of them anyway. Let's look at some of the specs on this phone. The dimensions of this phone are 159 by 68 by 10.4 millimeters, which is 6.26 by 2.68 by 0.41 inches. Its weight is 160 grams or 0.35 pounds. The display on this phone is a 3.5 640 by 960 pixels. That's the display. You do have 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage. You can put an SD card in it. It says up to 128 gig. Now, I have not tried using higher than that. But me personally, I don't store a whole lot of stuff on my phone. I mean, I've got a 256 gig S22 Ultra that I'm not even using half the storage on it. Not even half. Actually, maybe a quarter. Maybe. The processor, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, so I'm going to apologize for that ahead of time. It's an octa-core MediaTek MT6071. Wait. Yep. MT6771. MT6771T. It does have, for cellular connectivity, first of all, you do have to use it with either T-Mobile or anyone that uses T-Mobile's network. So like Mint Mobile, other carriers like Mint Mobile, but you just have to make sure they're using T-Mobile's network. Its connectivity, it has 4G, VoLTE, 3G, and 2G. It does have Wi-Fi 802.11, 802.11. It's got 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. It's got B, G, and N. Doesn't look like it has AC capability. As far as SIM cards go, it does take nano SIM cards. And it's got 2 slots. So you, in the SIM tray. So you can do 2 nano SIM cards, or you could do 1 SIM card and 1, micro SD card. Does not have eSIM. So for those of you, who are all about the eSIM, this wouldn't work for you. Now, keep in mind, this is probably not going to be for, a lot of people who are, really good at using Android phones, just the touch screen only. They're real fast with it. They know what they're doing. People who've been using Android for a long time. However, what I will say, having that been said, there are times where, especially when my carpal tunnel's acting up, I would rather use buttons, but I still want the touch screen. And that's where this phone comes in handy. You can use the touch screen. You can use the buttons. And there is, I don't think they call it a Google button. I think it's just, it's a voice button, but I pretty much think of it as a Google button, but that's just me. But you can, use the Google Assistant that way. And you can also use it when you want to, voice type in edit fields, which is really nice. All right, let's just take a look at this phone. One thing before we do look at this phone that I do want to bring up, it's a big thing, at least for me, and it actually, will make our customers very happy who do decide to get this phone, is that when you're setting it up for the first time, you got it and you're taken out of the box, you charge it up, you go to turn it on for the first time, as we all know, you have to do the press and hold of the 2 volume buttons, or a lot of phones support the 2-finger press and hold on the screen. This phone, you don't have to do that. It actually will come up talking. Let me go ahead and show you a little piece from the audio tutorial that I'm actually slowly working on for work. This will show you what happens when you turn it on from the start, where you're turning it on for the first time, or you've performed a factory reset, this is what happens. All right, there's the second vibrate. So right now, this would be up with you guys. Now, what's nice about this phone as opposed to other Android phones, normally you have to hold the 2 volume keys to activate TalkBack. On this phone, you don't, at least in the first time. So we're going to hear a startup sound here in just a moment. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. All right, that was good. We want to hear that. Now, we wait a little bit until the phone tells us that it's done setting stuff up. So we just wait. Now, I will warn you, it will be kind of quiet. And I'll show you how to turn that up here once it's done saying everything it's going to say. And hopefully this recording will help you hear it a little better, since, like I said, your phone's going to be kind of quiet initially. Here we go. So we're just waiting until it finishes setting everything up. I don't want to pause or edit this part because I want you to hear how long this takes. You won't hear that noise when you're setting yours up. That's because mine, I'm holding it really close to a microphone. And we're just still kind of waiting for it to finish its setup here.
The configuration is now finished. Enjoy your Smart Vision 3. TalkBack on. Checking for downloads. Initial setup is completed. Tap to finish initial setup. Capsies accessibility connected. Syncing SIM contacts 3 period. Hi there. Welcome to TalkBack, page 1 of 5. TalkBack is a screen reader intended for situations or people who have difficulty seeing the screen. It gives you spoken feedback so that you can use your device without looking at the screen. You can turn TalkBack on or off by holding both volume keys for several seconds. When TalkBack is on, the focused item on the screen is spoken out loud. Swiping right will move to the next item, and swiping left will move to the previous item. Swipe right now to find the next button. Welcome to TalkBack. Accessibility volume set to 71%.
All right, so let's just take a quick look at this phone. We're not going to have much time, and there's just a lot to this phone. We're going to start out with the face of the phone. Then we'll move to what I call the top, then the right side, then the bottom, then the left side, and then we'll flip it over and look at the back. Make sure that the number pad is toward your stomach, chest, whatever, however you hold your phone, and then make sure that the screen, the top of the screen is away from you for correct orientation. So at the very top, right above the screen, is your earpiece. This is obviously the part you put to your ear. This is also where things like the camera, like, the front-facing camera, the proximity sensor, things of that, the, little LEDs might be there as well. Then right below that is your, I believe it's a 3.5-inch display. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. I'm totally blind, but I think that's what I read. I hope I'm right. If not, I do apologize. It's a decent sized screen for this type of phone. And it's actually also a touch screen. We'll get to that in just a moment. Below the screen, you're going to see an area of buttons that's divided into 2 sections. The bottom section is your traditional number keypad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, star, 0, and pound. Traditional number pad. And as I'm telling you the different parts of the phone, different buttons, I'm actually touching those buttons and or parts of the phone. So I hope that you're kind of following along. Now, the top portion of these buttons, the manual calls a navigation area. I like to think of it as either navigation or control area, because this is where you're, controlling the phone, using arrows and back and delete and answering the phone and, other things of that nature. So you're controlling the phone, but it's also called a navigation area. In the middle of this navigation area, find the button. Like I said, it's right in the middle. It feels kind of rough. If you take your fingernail, you can kind of. Okay, so if you find that button, that's where I want to start. And that is your OK button. So it's also your enter button or select button. Sometimes you'll use it as to click a button or to click what you're wanting to do. So think of it as a select button, OK button kind of thing. Now, above, below, to the left, and to the right of that button, you're going to feel 4 buttons. They're really narrow. And my best suggestion to you is use the tip of your finger on these buttons. Because if you're not careful, you could accidentally, as I call it, fat finger 2 buttons. So you could accidentally, say, hit the down arrow and the OK at the same time. So what I do is use the tip of my finger on these buttons, and it works just fine. At any rate, these are your arrow keys. So you got your up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, right arrow, and they are just like that. So the up arrow is above the select button, down arrow is below it, left arrow is to the left, and right arrow is to the right. To the left of this navigation area, there are 2 buttons. They are actually right above the 1 button, and they are just slightly higher than the 1 button. The top button is the home button. This is when you are at, you're in an app and you want to go back to the home screen of the app. Of the phone. This is how you do it. That's the button you press to go home. Below that button is your menu button. In a lot of cases, you're not going to use it, but when you're at the home screen, this will take you to a menu of like quick settings, notifications, talkback settings. It takes you to different things. Like shortcuts, think of it that way. This is also the button that you will use to answer an incoming call. To the right of the navigation keys, the arrows with the select button in the middle. To the right, again, you have 2 buttons, one, above the other. And again, they're both right above the 3 button. And again, they're slightly higher than the 3 button. The top button is your back button. This is anytime you want to go back a screen, this is the button you would press to do that. Below that is your delete key. Press it once to delete a character, like when you're typing, you press it once to delete a character. Or you can press and hold and delete the entire edit field of what you were writing. Like I said, below that stuff is your number pad. On the top of the phone, let's look at the top now. Kind of toward the left, about half inch to an inch in from the left side is your headset jack. Right now, I am using that. It's plugged directly into my computer so that when I do make the phone talk, instead of hearing it through the microphone that I'm talking into, you're going to hear the speech directly from the phone. It's not going to be through a microphone. You're going to hear it directly, so it should be a little bit clearer. To the right of that, kind of maybe about a half inch or so in from the right edge on the top is your power button. This is how you can turn the phone on and off. Also, put it to sleep and wake it up. That'll be discussed later. On the right side of the phone, toward the top, let's see, what would that be? About an inch, maybe an inch and a half from the top. You're going to feel a button that, again, is a bit kind of rough. That is your voice operation button. This is how you can tell the phone to open apps, call somebody, send a message to somebody, do voice dictation in an edit field, different things like that. Again, we'll show that to you later in the audio tutorial. Just a little below that, you'll see two buttons. The top one is your volume up, bottom one is your volume down. On the bottom of the phone, let's look at the bottom now. On the right-hand side, on the bottom, you're going to feel that's where your speaker is. And then just to the left of that is your USB-C port. Now, USB-C can be plugged in either way. You don't have to make sure that you're plugging it in a certain way. It will work either way. So you don't have to make sure that dots are pointing, up or whatever the case may be. On the left side, nothing. Well, okay, that's where your SIM tray will be to, put your SIM card in your phone. Let's see, whereabouts is that? Give me just one moment. I'm partially popping okay, it's toward the top. Let's see. Maybe about an inch from the top edge on the left side. That's where your SIM tray is. You have to use a SIM ejector to pop the tray out so that you can put your SIM card in the phone. All right, let's flip the phone over. And with it flipped over, now where I'm talking about, I'm going to say it's going to look like it's on the left, but that's because we've flipped the phone over. If you don't flip it over, it's more toward the right. But because we flipped the phone over, it's toward the top left edge on the back. It's about an inch by, would that be an inch and a half by an inch? But it is a bit of a rectangle. This is where your camera is and your flashlight. And then down and slightly to the right of that is your fingerprint sensor. So when your phone is sleeping, instead of pushing the power button and then typing a password or a PIN or whatever the case may be, you can actually just put your finger on the fingerprint sensor like this
3:06 a.m. Home screen. 3:06 a.m., Friday the 4th of August, selected. Battery level, 91% remaining.
And that's how you'll know it's unlocked, because it'll say, home screen, or if you were in an app, it might say the app's name or something like that. But notice I didn't push the power button and, I didn't wake the phone up and then do whatever. I just touched the fingerprint sensor, and that's all I did. All right, so let's show you something a little different. We're just going to take a look at, let's say one app, okay? Because like I said, there's just a whole lot to this phone. We all know how to do the calendar. I mean, we all have the calendar app on our phones, regardless of what Android phone we have. Well, this one has that, but there's also one on here called Agenda. And at least to me, it's not quite as cluttered, and I actually like using it.
Applications. Agenda.
So let's go ahead and look at Agenda.
Agenda. Button. More options. Button. Create event.
So as you can see right now, there's only two things.
Button. More options.
More options and create event. Let's see what's in more options real quick.
Pop-up window. Delete all. Default ringtone.
So you've got two options.
Delete all.
You got your delete all.
Default ringtone.
Default ringtone. Let's set what ringtone we want this to use.
Agenda. Button. More options. Cesium. Check. Fermium. Hassium. Helium. Krypton. Neon. Neptunium.
I don't even have my stuff on here. This has been freshly reset. So let's see.
Check. Novelium. Checked. Osmium. Checked. Oxygen. Checked. Piezo alarm. Platinum. Checked.
All right, we'll leave it as that. Go back.
Agenda. Button.
Okay.
More options.
So now we have our ringtone set that we want to use for alerts.
Button. Create event.
Let's go ahead and go to create event.
Event detail. Title. Empty.
Now, when you want to go into edit fields on here,
Title. Edit box. Enter event title.
now notice it didn't say we're editing it yet. So what I'm going to do is press select. I did go into title, but while it put me on the edit field, it didn't, open it. It didn't select it. So let's go ahead and actually select the edit field.
Showing enter event title. Edit box. Enter event title. Editing. Selected.
Okay. Now it says, editing selected. And we're using the Capsies keyboard. That's what it is by default. So let's do, let's see here. What do we want to do as an event? Let's see. Okay.
Capital B. L. I. N. D. Space. A. M.
Oops. Let's delete that.
M deleted. N. D. R. O. H. I deleted. I. D.
So as you see, I didn't hear that it did the I. I heard H, but I never heard the I. So I didn't know it did it. So when I backed up over what I thought was an H, it was actually an I. So sometimes that can happen if you try pushing the buttons real fast.
Space. T.
See, I did hit it twice, but I don't know if it's an actual T or a U. So let's back up.
T deleted.
Okay, this time it was a T.
T. T.
Well,
T deleted. T deleted. T. U.
there, I did it a little slower. Sometimes you can do it real fast, but other times you can't.
P. Q. R. S. D. D. D deleted. D deleted. D. E. Q. R. P. Q. R. S. Space. P. N. O. D. A. B. C. A. P. Q. R. S. T. Space. P. R. E. A. B. C. N. O. P. Q. R. D. A. I. N. G. G. Edit box. Blind Android users podcast recording. Editing. Enter event title. Selected.
All right. So now that I'm done doing that, I'm going to hit the back key, not backspace, not delete, but the back key.
Edit box. Blind Android users podcast recording. Enter event title. Button. Cancel. Button. OK.
All right. So I'm going to hit OK.
Event detail. Title. Blind Android users podcast recording. Date. August 7th, 2023.
All right. Let's go in here.
Agenda. 2023. Checked. Agenda. February.
I totally forgot. When it says checked, you still have to press enter on it. You don't go looking for a save or an OK. I totally forgot that. All right. So I've got 2023.
March. April. May. June. July. August. Checked.
It says it's checked, but I still just need to press select.
Agenda. Monday 7. Checked.
All right. What day do I want this on? Let's see.
Tuesday 8. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday 12.
All right. So the 12th.
Event detail. Date. August 12th, 2023.
There we go.
Time. 8:25 p.m.
All right. Let's select the time.
Agenda. 1 p.m. 2 p.m. 7 p.m. 10 p.m. 3 p.m. 12 p.m.
All right. So 12 p.m.
Agenda. 0. Checked. 5. 55. 50.
Let's set it for, why did I do that? I should have went back. I did something wrong, but I can fix it. It's okay.
Event detail. Time. 12:50 p.m. Agenda. 12 p.m. 1 p.m. 11 a.m.
There we go.
Agenda. 0. Checked.
And I'm just using the arrow keys to do all this.
50. Event detail. Time. 11:50 a.m.
There we go.
Recurrence. Once.
And this is only a one-time thing, so I'm going to leave it on once, but let me show you how, what's in here.
Agenda. Once. Check. Every day. Every week. Every month. Every year.
So there you go.
Once. Checked.
We want to leave it on once.
Event detail. Recurrence. Once. Reminder. On time.
Do you want it to remind you on time? I'm just going to leave it as on time because I actually set the time slightly before when the event actually is.
Ringtone.
Now, I can leave it on the default ringtone that we have set, but if I want a different ringtone for this
Sounds. Select ringtone. Cesium. Check. Fermium. Platinum. Platinum. Rooster alarm. Scandium. Add alarm. Heading. Button. Cancel. Add alarm. Heading. Scandium. Checked. Rooster alarm. Plutonium. Checked.
All right, we'll set that one. Just press select.
Checked.
Okay.
Event
Back.
detail. Ringtone. Save.
And now I'm going to, let's see, did it save
Ringtone.
it? Let's see.
Sounds. Select ringtone. Cesium. Checked. Osmium. Rooster alarm. Plutonium. Add alarm. Button. Button. OK.
Oh, okay. Go down to the OK button.
Event detail. Ringtone.
I would rather just hit the back button, but unfortunately in here it doesn't show you the name.
Reminder. Ringtone.
See? It doesn't show you. So, interesting.
Save.
All right, so I'm going to hit save,
Agenda. Button. More options.
and I'm done. So now when you go in here, as you see, I'm on the more options.
Button. Create event.
There's the create event.
Blind Android users podcast recording. Saturday, August 12th, 2023, 11:50 a.m.
It's just in a nice list view. So there you go. So if you'd like to learn more about the Smart Vision 3 or you want to purchase it from RAZ Mobility, you can tell them I sent you. Tell them the accessibility specialist sent you. Visit our website at www.razmobility.com.
Thank you so much for that great review, Jerry. So it's a review/unboxing. Let's talk about some of the things, Jerry, that time did not permit you to talk about in your review. Could you talk to us about some of the things that you had wanted to put in there that time did not allow you to?
Well, let's see. First of all, one of the things is that I can't remember. I don't even remember what I put in there, but I know that two of the buttons I may not have talked about, and they're actually nice to have. Give me just one moment. I'm unlocking mine while I'm saying this stuff to you guys. To the left of the arrow keys in the OK button, you have two buttons. The one the one on the top is the home button. Not only does it take you home, but if you press and hold it instead of just pushing it, if you press and hold it,
Recent apps.
that's how you get at the recent apps, which is really nice. You know how, on Android touchscreen phones, we have, you either have the button or you got to do the gesture. Well, this one, you just have a button that you do that with. And then there's a menu button just below the home button. Again, it has two purposes. Now, one that does not make sense to me is the menu button. If you're anywhere else other than the home screen, it doesn't do anything. But if you are on the home screen and you just press the menu button,
Quick settings. Quick settings selected.
as you see, you have a couple things here. You've, the quick settings.
Notifications.
Here's how you can get at your notifications.
Recent applications.
Again, recent application. Now, I don't know why that's there. I guess kind of redundant, but
Media control.
such as it is.
Settings.
There's your settings. So you don't have to go to applications and then go to settings. It's right here.
Capsies accessibility.
There's some, it kind of like TalkBack. There's where you can find some of the accessibility stuff for Capsies specifically.
TalkBack accessibility.
And here's where you can get into TalkBack's accessibility stuff. So there's that.
1246.
Also, if you press and hold that same button,
TalkBack menu. Navigation selected.
and we all know this menu, so I'm not going to go through it all the way, but this is where you can get at the top, the TalkBack stuff.
Copy last spoken phrase.
So there you go. I mean, that's, pretty cool that you can really easy get at that stuff. Like I said, I personally think this phone is just, for what it is, I think it's pretty cool.
That's great, Jerry. And I was kind of wondering about that menu, if it could be used as like a contextual button. Let's say you are sitting on an app, and if one long press is on it, I think if they do something like that, that would be good. So, for instance, it doesn't only have to work while you're on the home screen. So if I were on the web or in an app, for example, so I want to select something and interact with it, I could long press on that. I think that would make sense to me.
Yeah, well, if you're talking like getting at the TalkBack stuff where you can do that type of stuff, you just long press it, but to just press it to get at different things, then no, you can't just press it to get at some of that stuff, but you can long press it to get at TalkBack stuff.
I had a question. This phone I know is for people who either don't want to use the touch screen at all or want buttons to make things easier. So if I was someone who didn't want to use the touch screen, are there button presses for things like finding out your battery level? I mean, I know you can do that with Google's voice assistant as well.
I believe there actually is. What they are, I don't fully remember, but I do know
but they do
that
have them.
I do know it's something like that can be done. Also, when you turn the device on, like when you wake it up, you can. That's one of the things you can have it tell you under the Capsies stuff. That's one of the things you can go into. What do you want me to tell you when you wake the phone up? And battery levels, I think signal strength might be one of them, but I know battery level is. As you heard mine when I turned it on, it said what the battery was at.
Yeah. And does it, because you said it only works on T-Mobile or T-Mobile based networks in the US.
Yes.
I'm assuming it probably works on all the networks in a lot of other countries. Is that right?
That I can't speak to that because I don't know.
I've not heard anyone in the UK say you can't use that phone on such and such a network, because I know in the US you have these funny networks that run on a different system, don't you? That nobody else has.
Yeah, I mean my boss, because I did ask him about that, and his words were kind of, technically it could work on AT&T, but because it's not approved for AT&T, AT&T would shut it down the second you probably tried activating it on.
That
they would stop
annoying.
it.
That's
Yeah,
not very good.
it
Not very
is
friendly.
No, it's not. But what can you do at the end of the day?
That's U.S. carriers for you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I'd quite like living in London then. And what about 5G? Does it have 5G?
Unfortunately, no. And
4G?
unfortunately, yes, it does have 4G, and it has LTE, and it has VoLTE.
Yeah.
But and Warren, I know you're gonna cry. No eSIM. Sorry.
Well, not a lot of phones have eSIM, but frankly, this will work internationally, because I had a friend of mine that had a Smart Vision 2, and he took it on a trip, and it works. So, and it's coming from France, so you'd be sure that it is covered. European networks,
I think so.
definitely are supported. So, yeah, it's just in the US that
you
it
do
may be
things
iffy,
weird over there.
but it's just AT&T doing that game because they want you to get phones from them, and it's just absolutely stupid.
Which is okay to a point, but if they don't sell a phone that meets your needs, then not so much.
Exactly.
And I don't know if I said this in the I don't think I did, and I totally forgot to. With RAZ Mobility, we do have two different packages for it. You can either get just the phone, with the charger, and that one's like, it's $539. And I know what a lot of you are saying, ouch, that's too much. For what it is, and being in a niche market, let's face it, the blind community is, we're going to pay more for things that are specifically designed for us. But for $599, you can actually get not only the phone and the charger, but you get two different apps. You get a book reader and a map program. It's called Captain, spelled with a K. But you also get a case, a screen protector, and wireless charging. So, and a cleaning cloth. So, two different things that you can choose from. I personally, like I said, I personally, for what it is, I like it. I mean, okay, it's not a flagship, high, the newest processor, but for what it is, it works just fine.
You're listening to the Blind Android Users podcast.
How about Braille? Have you tried it with Braille?
I have not, because I don't do Braille on any phone right now.
Oh.
I've heard people who do it, and I'm sitting there listening to, how can you guys do this? I couldn't do it. I mean, I know my Braille. It's not that. I'm doing barely good enough to type on a screen as it is. So trying to use a Braille keyboard, I couldn't do it. There's no way.
I find it easier actually to to type in text on with a Braille keyboard, but then I learnt Braille from a young age, so maybe.
Well, so did I.
Yeah.
I went to the Ohio State School for the Blind in kindergarten. So, there you go.
Yeah.
I think it might support Braille, but
Well, it
one
is
has
running
to
Android
try.
11.
Yeah,
It is
so
running Android 11. Keep that in mind. I don't know.
Goodness me.
It does have, a matter of fact, I just got an update for TalkBack last night, I think. But keep in mind it's running Android 11, so I don't know. Would you be able to use all those keys or all those fingers on the screen at the same time?
Oh no,
with
I
Android
wasn't
11?
really asking. I don't know, but I wasn't really asking about that. I meant like a Braille display.
You said Braille keyboard. Oh, I thought you meant
No,
the
I said, how
on-screen
is it with
keyboard.
Braille? No, I didn't mean that, but that's interesting as well. But oh dear, misunderstanding, even though we all speak English. No, I meant like a Braille display, like connecting
I haven't
it.
tried one, but I should. I should. Although
Yeah.
No,
I
don't like on-screen Braille keyboards either
I don't
myself.
think there's any reason why it wouldn't work with
Yeah.
a Braille display.
Right.
No,
Now, if you
I
want
know
to
the
do a
blind
virtual
shell.
Braille, however,
Yeah, might not.
because it has a smaller screen, you may have a little bit of a difficult time. But yet,
Yeah, that would
again,
depend on what
yeah.
the screen actually supports. If it supports 6 touches at once, not necessarily because although multi-finger gestures weren't introduced until Android 12, you could still use the Braille keyboard before that with 6 fingers if the device supported it. So
Exactly.
it depends on the screen that they use.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of Brett because blind shell definitely doesn't. This is why I'm asking. Because somebody might be listening and thinking, which of those two should I get? And that's why I was interested to know. I think I've heard that it works with Braille. I just wondered if you tried it.
The touch screen is only a 3.5 inch. So can you guys just imagine trying to do 6 fingers on a 3.5 inch screen?
Oh no, but I mean with like something like a Vario Braille display or I don't know what the other ones are, but one of those.
The only one we have here is a Focus 40.
I don't know. Do they work with Android? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
If it has Bluetooth, yeah, it does.
Oh, right.
It should. Jerry, another good thing about this that sets it apart from the other phones in this class is the fact that it comes with that Play Store, doesn't it?
Yes. Let me show you real quick. Come on, phone, unlock. There we go. All right. So,
home screen.
Open Play Store. I'm trying to cheat.
Play Store.
There it goes.
Google Play.
There you go. So
search Google voice search button. Show notifications and offers.
So we all know what
available button.
We all know what the Play Store looks like, but there you guys go. There's the Play Store right there.
Exactly.
And where are your apps?
Oh, something I probably did forget to mention. Give me 1 second. So if you go to the home screen,
lookout. 12:57 p.m. Saturday.
There's your clock up at the very top. If you down arrow one time,
applications.
So I can just press select on applications.
Applications. Agenda selected.
And they're just in a list of you. They're not in a grid. They're in a list. So you can just down arrow.
Application updates. Assistant. Banknote recognizer. Book reader. Calculator.
And there you go. You just down arrow through them.
So they're alphabetically arranged.
Yes.
Can you press a letter? Like, would it say if your app began with N or something, or W? Can you do that?
Selected.
Well, I just now tried it. I can get to M, but what I was trying to do is a letter that's maybe the second letter on the number. Let's see. Let me try B as in Bravo.
A, B, MB.
Oh, it looks M like and B, so that's why.
It looks like it's
screen.
It looks like I don't know what it's trying to do.
You could type more than one letter then, so you could type mag if you're looking for magnifier or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's something I really haven't played with, just because I usually cheat and just use the assistant. But
yes, no,
it's so much faster, especially if you know what the app is called.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think part of it, though, because it's using a T9 and you got to time it right also. So
yes,
it makes all the difference.
And I will say, if you try doing things, and I think you may have heard it in the review thing, if you try typing too fast, things usually it does work, but every once in a while, and I don't know if it's just because the phone slows down from time to time, but if you try typing really fast, sometimes letters come up missing. You push the 8 twice, you're hoping and thinking you're going to get a U. Well, you don't. You get T.
But could I connect a Bluetooth keyboard? Would that
Yes.
work? So
Yeah.
I could type emails, long emails.
I've even hooked, because it's got a USB-C port.
Yeah.
I've even hooked in an adapter and hooked in my Logitech wireless keyboard and used it.
Oh, so you can
like
use
I said,
one
this is a
with a
full
wire
Android
or
phone.
without one. Yeah, so it'll
Right.
work.
Yeah.
It's full-blown Android. It's
a
just been
full-blown Android phone.
customized.
So anything you can do with an Android phone, you can do with it. It's just that it has keys instead, making it easy for people who cannot,
Yeah.
use the touch screen.
What about when you're reading a book? Because when I'm reading a book, if I want to turn the page, I'll use 2 fingers to turn the page left or right.
I've never tried that
of course,
yet.
You can do that with the touch screen, but I just wondered, do they have a page
I
turning
know
button?
the book reading app that it comes with, if you from us, if you buy the more expensive one, it's I think it's got back and next or previous and next buttons in it, or something.
But I mean, that wouldn't work if you had a Kindle book or something, or would it read those in that app? I don't know.
It's
usually Amazon likes you to use their own stuff.
Right. I don't think you'd be able to do Kindle with it. I don't think so.
Because they have so many books, and some can be quite cheap.
Well, and there's so many apps you can get that, if just like any other Android phone, if an app on the phone does not do what you want it to do, just go get one that does.
Well, thank you so much, Jerry. That's beautiful. And the great news is that this time around, actually, this thing is cheaper than the Smart Vision 2. So if you want to buy it, this is probably the one to get.
One thing also to tell you, and that is, if you're in a state where the state agency has a program where they would give it to you, you can actually get training. Depending on the state, depending on our, how the agreements are with, because I don't work in that department, but I'm the one who does the training. So if you get a phone from your state agency, if you get a Smart Vision 3 from your state agency, and there are some that already have it, as I said in the review, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and I forget what the third one was.
That was Arkansas.
So if you were to get a phone from them, you can actually call us and you set up a training session, and then it's me that you talk to.